Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Apollo and well, welcome to my channel. So today I have something new. This is going to be a little bit new to the channel. Mostly because I do primarily talk about cannabis on here, but figured of course I have other hobbies, so I'm going to talk about them here as well. And one of my favorite hobbies is photography. Now, I've been around cameras most of my life, whether they be like disposable ones, digital, phones even, just basically anything I could get my hands on, really. So, we're traveling back a little bit today, and we're traveling back to the year 2008 with this fabulous camera. Now, what is this camera, you ask me? This is the Olympus Stylus 850, which you can see it right here. It's probably flipped, but it says shock and waterproof, which honestly, with how beat up this thing is from its previous owner or owners, I believe it, because I'm surprised this camera is still in one piece with how much damage there's been to it. It's not as bad as other cameras I've seen online for sale, especially of like the shock and waterproof series from Olympus. I've seen worse. Like there was one listing where I think the battery door was completely gone and the little USB door on the side was also gone. So I definitely got a steal when I got this one. The fact that it's in one piece with all pieces still. So I got this, I think, for like 20 bucks back in November. It was like right before my birthday. I bought it for myself as a birthday present. And I was like, I only have $20, so I'm gonna find a camera. Like, my goal was just under 50. That was my goal for like buying cameras. It was under 50. And this happened to be under 50, weatherproof, and took SD cards. So like it was kind of a no-brainer. And I had already been interested in Olympus, so it fell right into my lap with everything in the box. Yes, almost everything in the box. The only thing that was missing from the box, I think, was one of the pamphlets and the original case that came with it, which I'm pretty sure I can find cheap, like, knockoffs on Amazon now, or I can find, like, little, like, rubber ones on Amazon, which I have to remind myself to take a look at those so I can test the full effect of the camera. But here, I'm just going to show some pictures and some video samples, and some of them will be of me smoking, so it ties right back into all the cannabis. So I think there's also going to be some pictures of bud in there that I can find, because I tried a little bit with the macro photography on this camera. It's not too great. Let's just say that the focusing, it's not great when it's like, when the object is still super close, but you're like all the way zoomed in. It's not fun. But I will say though, the colors coming out of this camera are insane. Some of my favorite coloring ever, really. And this is coming from someone who is a fan of the Pentax colors, which lean a little bit more green. But I figured, why not expand my horizons a little bit when it comes to color science of other cameras. But this one, next level. Like, not only are the colors accurate, they do tend to oversaturate though, depending on like your subject. But other than that, the colors are pretty good. They get a little bit washed out if it's like super cloudy and it's overcast. So like only during like times like that are the colors kind of yucky looking. Also, if there's a lot of gray in the picture, it does not look great. Like, the colors very much do degrade a little bit if there's just too many dark colors in the photograph. Like, if you're taking pictures of warships, for example, those are just giant chunks of gray metal. And if you zoom in a little bit on some sections, especially when it's overcast, because that's unfortunately what I did, you're going to get a lot of noise and the colors are going to be mush. So be cautious. The high ISO range, or at least the ISO range, isn't very high, I think. I can't even remember if there's even ISO range on this thing. But it does come with stabilization. Has a little stabilization mode, like, included, as you can see. And the zoom, if I'm not mistaken, is 38 millimeters to 114, which is pretty far for a camera of this size, or even average, I'd say, especially for a camera of this size of the time. So, yeah. Also, one other thing about this camera that I really, really like is the LCD. The LCD is pretty damn good, especially for a camera from 2008. It's honestly on par with, I wouldn't say the LCD on the back of my, like, Pentax, because that's, like, damn near an OLED screen. In my opinion, that, like, screen is pretty good, especially in, like, bright light. This one still, unfortunately, gets the, LCD glare curse, because there's no viewfinder. That was the only thing I had to compromise with about this camera, is that there's no viewfinder. Because the compact cameras that I was looking at that had viewfinders were at least $100 more expensive, and I did not have that money at the time. So I was like, okay, that's the one thing we're going to have to compromise on, because it's not that important, but it's still, like, something I was looking for, because I'm used to a viewfinder with a DSLR. So I figured compact cameras, might as well try and look for one that has one. But even just straight out of the sensor as just the screen to look through, perfect. It works perfectly fine. And the colors through the camera, like through live view, are pretty good. Although, because I'm getting, like, overcast, almost direct sunlight right now, if I try and, like, take a picture of, say, my keyboard, which is RGB, I'm a gamer, the colors would be very washed out. Like, even if I was, like, to, let's see, it's telling me flash is on. Turn that shit off. There we go. I'll probably include the picture that I took in the video just so you guys can, like, see what it looks like, even though I am including samples anyway. But the video, I'm going to say, is, of course, not very remarkable. It's usable if you like lo-fi, sort of like that early 2000s vlogging aesthetic almost. It's perfect for that. So if that's your thing, perfect video camera. Even though I will say I'm surprised it came at like 30 FPS. I was expecting 24. I don't know. I thought 2008 20 equals 24 FPS on cameras. I don't know. I just thought video hadn't, at least on compacts, hadn't advanced to 30 FPS. But it's usable. It's a little bit nauseating if you're, like, on a bus like I was, and probably one of the clips that I'll include. But other than that, totally usable if you're just out and about walking, on vacation, I don't know, somewhere with friends, like a get-together, a party, something like that. Perfect for those type of events, which is honestly what it was built for. Although I will say the interesting thing about the reviews from the camera at the time is complaining about noise, which was my main complaint. But now that it's 2023 and this camera is from 2008, I'm not expecting anything spectacular when it comes to like noise reduction or anything like that. Considering my first camera, absolute first camera, was the Canon 40D, and that compared to this when it comes to noise is on par. Like the Canon 40D, I think came out in like what, 2007? It's either 2007 or 2008. And even though it is a DSLR, it still has a fair amount of noise to it if it's like dark enough or if I zoom in enough. Same thing with this camera. So to say that it's at least, even almost in terms of megapixels, it's on par with the Canon. Because the Canon 40D, I think, is 10 megapixels, if I remember correctly, and this is 8. So, pretty par with the DSLRs at the time, just missing quite a few features. But other than that, I'd say I almost prefer this over my Canon. Actually, no, I do prefer this little compact camera over carrying around my Canon 40D all the time. It's so much simpler, and I can get similar image quality and even better colors out of this camera than I can my like Canon, even though that also has some pretty good colors. Arguably, I'm gonna have to like make a video about the colors of like the three different digital cameras that I have, because I have this right here, and then my Canon 40D is right behind me, and then my Pentax is like right up here to like the right of me underneath my desk. So I'm gonna have to bust out the other two cameras, start snapping pictures, and then I'll probably like make a comparison video or something like that. So yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here, and I will see y'all later. If you like the video, comment, subscribe, share it. If you want to learn, or you are a photographer, please let me know in the comments, because I love running into photographers that also like weed. There's only one that I know, and I don't even know him personally. He's a content creator. So, yeah. I'll see y'all later.